Hey, it's Andre, and it's a Micro Friday flying update. That's right, talking about micros today on the Friday Flying Update, because, well, it's wet outside and crazy, and I have to say I'm looking forward to these guys. I know I've been talking about this for a bit, but the past weekend I flew the B-17, and then I had a chance to fly this guy, like 4 batteries, the Sport Cub S, and just... you know, you gotta have a micro or two in your fleet. I apparently have a few of them coming into my fleet lately, so let's dive into it. Obviously, these are the bad boys, and this airplane is really impressive. The Sport Cub, really like flying it. They bind up simply, they run on a 1S, and they go. And 9 to 10 minutes on a 220 mil 1S. This is crazy. So my dad and I were flying around. He had my old Micro Tiger Moth, the first RC electric airplane I ever owned, and it still goes. It sounds terrible. It's just grinding away into the gears, but we were flying away and having a really good time. And from Great Hobbies, they sent me over some, let me put this guy over here, 2 airplanes to test from Top Wing, the YF-22, and of course the B-17. I'm actually going to take the landing gear off the B-17 because I think it's just something I'm simply going to belly land and everything. And it should be okay. I don't see why it wouldn't be okay, because I mean, you're going to come in gentle on grass and everything. And when I did fly it, I flew it with the little remote. Now, if you're just starting off and you don't have a radio you can bind to, the ready to fly remotes and everything are pretty good. If you're used to flying, I think you're going to find some of the functionality is just a little too limiting. The size is small. I guess what I'm thinking is for the Y22 or the YF-22, that remote is super for a child. You know, like my son would love this thing. You know, it's very game-like. What's pretty cool about the remotes actually is off the B-17, I was getting telemetry for the battery voltage. But for my next flight, I will definitely be locking in on my radio and binding it up and going between the 2 of them. With the radio, you get an extra mode, the ready to fly setup. You get an assisted flight and you get a takeoff feature. So you hold the button down and it goes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and blasts off. So it spools the motors off. And you have auto level and a stabilized mode and everything. So I've got to go through, when I do the radio, I've got to go through and program them all in. So overall, not bad to start off with. But as a pilot, I found when I was going, I was banging off buttons and stuff like that. So still acceptable, but if you're used to this big radio, then you're definitely going to want to get your DSMX module or your Spectrum radio and bind up and go flying with them. Overall, these Top Wings are very nice looking airplane. Really the only minor issue I had was my elevator needed a little bit of stretching, and the material was a little tight in binding, so the servo was just, it couldn't push it, and I had like no throws on the first flight, so I had to land very quickly and correct that. Now it feels great. You want to check your CG. I felt I had my battery a little back, and you know, it uses a simple, very simple 1S500. And with a JST connector, which is quite nice. So it charges up on your normal stuff. The YF-22 uses a slightly different battery connector, and they do supply in the kit a USB charger. So that's kind of neat. I looked to see if these style of batteries would be compatible with any of my other little 1S chargers, and the voltage polarities are reversed, so I don't want to plug that in. So I will be charging this guy up using their little USB gizmo, and luckily one comes with this with the B-17, so I can actually charge up all of them at once. So it looks like you can do like 4 at a time anyhow. So I'm going to be plugging that in and charging those things up as soon as I can. Again, I know the aircraft bind to my radio. This guy obviously needs a little mixing because it's just flaperons or ailerons, but it felt really torquey, and again, all the modes are in there with the stock remote. So half of me wants to keep flying on this thing because then I don't have to add them to the radio and just go. And maybe that's the attractive part of these kind of aircraft. You go in, you set them up, and you know, like this thing comes in a case, so you can just leave it in your car and go, and just have something quick to bomb around in the park. And I'm sure this thing is very visible, so I can't wait to get flying. So if the weather's cooperative this weekend, definitely be out there with my camera and shoot some video of these guys flying, because you got to see them. I almost wonder if this thing can actually handle a camera on board. Half tempted, you know, but it is a demo unit, so I don't want to stick any Velcro on it or do any damage. So it is a very attractive looking aircraft. But the only thing I would recommend is seeing if you could find some different screws that you can take a screwdriver a little bit more. These things seem to be giving up a little bit of bite with the screws. So, and of course the advantage there is if you can take the wing off, then you can very easily store it and put it into another box for safekeeping and safe transport. Next on the bench in the micro category, and yes, this qualifies as a micro, this bad boy from Video Aerial Systems. This is the Gremlin biplane. A little quick in my backyard, but it flew at the field really well, and ironically enough, that huge rudder gives you wing roll, and you can do quite a lot of maneuverability with it. I do have FPV gear for it, and fully loaded with a 2S 500. The thing weighed in under 150 grams, so well below any of the restrictive flying limits. So it is a fun little airplane, quick to build, 5 gram servos. I'm running a little 1306 2300 kV with a 5-inch prop, triple blade, just to slow it down and give me more torque. A little 12 amp ESC and a little 3-channel receiver I had lying around. So can't wait to go FPV with this guy either. It should be a blast. So again, Video Aerial System Gremlin. So there's just a couple of the quick little samples of some of the UMXs. Of course, we're preparing and we're all excited about the future upcoming UMX Timber, which will probably see a lot of flight time from this guy. So I am ordering one as soon as they're released and available through Great Hobbies, and I'm looking forward to flying. I also do have to build up my flight test Simple Cub. Not quite UMX class, not quite micro, but still going to be a fairly lightweight aircraft by the time we're done with it. So I'm looking forward to flying this. I'm going to go with the more conservative 3S light battery package. Was even thinking of 2S, but I think I'd be a little too underpowered. But still, it's going to be a small, light aircraft. Won't quite make that sub 250 gram class, but we'll still have some fun. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. A very quick Friday flying update. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Have a fantastic weekend. Cheers.
Set my heart